The myth of Inanna's descent into the underworld is one of the oldest known stories in human history, originated in ancient Sumer, which is modern-day southern Iraq, during the 3rd millennium BCE. Found in Sumerian texts, it is a profound tale of spiritual transformation, shadow work, and awakening. Inanna, the goddess of love, fertility, and war, embarks on a perilous journey to confront her sister, Ereshkigal, the queen of the underworld. Along the way, she is stripped of her connection to the divine, her spiritual gifts, and even her life. This myth is a timeless allegory for the challenges we face on our spiritual path and the potential for renewal and rebirth. This journey is just not a myth, but a blueprint for personal transformation, resonating with Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, a universal framework of human growth. The journey of descent, confrontation, and return mirrors our struggle to navigate life's challenges, confront our shadow, and reclaim our higher selves. Inanna, curious about the realm of her sister's Ereshkigal, decided to descend into the underworld. Before leaving, she prepares for her journey by instructing her faithful servant, Nishimar, to seek help if she does not return. Inanna approaches the gates of the underworld. She is required to pass through 7 gates, each time removing a symbol of her power or identity. By the time she reaches Ereshkigal, she stands naked and vulnerable, stripped of her spiritual gifts and connection to her higher self. Ereshkigal, filled with rage and grief, strikes her down, leaving her lifeless and hanging on a hook in the underworld. Through the intervention of Enki, the god of wisdom who created the food and water of life, Inanna is revived and resurrected. She rises, transformed, and returns to the world above. However, her resurrection comes with a cost. She must find replacements to remain in the underworld in her stead. Inanna chooses her husband, Dumuzi, who had chosen no sorrow for her plight. His descent into the underworld symbolizes the need to balance the masculine and feminine energies and the continuous cycle of transformation. This story represents a journey of spiritual descent, confrontation with the shadow self, death, and ultimate rebirth, offering profound lessons of transformation and awakening. As Inanna passes through the gates of the underworld, she is stripped of her spiritual gifts and divine aspects of her higher self, connected to the cosmic wisdom, love, and creative power. These gifts correspond to the chakras, which represent her energetic and spiritual connections. At the first gate, Inanna is stripped of her crown, symbolizing the loss of her spiritual connection to divine wisdom and unity with the cosmos and gnosis. This represents her crown chakra. At the second gate, her lapis lazuli beads are taken, representing the loss of her intuition and ability to perceive higher truths. This represents her third eye. At the third gate, her necklace is removed, severing her ability to express divine truth and authenticity. This represents her throat chakra. At the fourth gate, her breastplate is taken, cutting off her capability for love, compassion, and divine feminine energy. This represents her heart chakra. At the fifth gate, her golden ring is removed, symbolizing the loss of her personal power and confidence. This represents her solar plex chakra. At the sixth gate, her bracelet is taken, stifling her creative energy and connection to the flow of life. This represents her sacral chakra. At the seventh and final gate, her royal robe is removed, leaving her entirely exposed, vulnerable, and grounded in survival mode. This represents the root chakra. By the time she reaches Ereshkigal, Inanna is fully stripped of her divine essence, her higher self symbolically shut down, and she exists in a state of spiritual death. In many traditions, the underworld is not a literal realm of the dead, but a metaphor for the physical plane, our earthly existence. It represents the challenges of living in the material world where we often feel disconnected from the divine wisdom and spiritual gifts. Inanna's descent into the underworld reflects a human journey of being born into the material world. It is a state where the soul is tested, stripped of divine connection, and forced to confront the illusion and struggles of the physical existence. Her symbolic death at the hands of Ereshkigal represents the death of the higher self, a moment of complete disconnection from divine wisdom and purpose. At the core of Inanna's journey is her confrontation with Ereshkigal, her shadow self. Ereshkigal embodies the suppressed fear, pain, and grief that Inanna must face to reclaim her wholeness. This confrontation leads to Inanna's symbolic death, a profound surrender of her ego and spiritual gifts. Her resurrection, facilitated by Enki, symbolizes the awakening of her higher self. Inanna's return with her chakras reactivated, her spiritual gifts restored, and her divine essence fully integrated. This awakening is not just a return of her former self, but transformation into a more complete, balanced being who has embraced both light and shadow. Dumuzi, Inanna's husband, became a crucial part of the story. Upon her return, Inanna finds Dumuzi celebrating, indifferent to her suffering. His lack of empathy reveals the imbalance in their relationship, where the masculine energy, represented by Dumuzi, has been detached from the transformative journey of the feminine. Inanna chooses Dumuzi to take her place in the underworld. His descent serves as a metaphor for the need to integrate the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves. Dumuzi's journey reflects the shadow aspect of Inanna's life, a reminder that both light and dark, feminine and masculine, must go through cycles of death, rebirth, and balance. His eventual partial release from the underworld, altering his time there with his sister, signifies the cyclical nature of integration and growth. The lesson is clear. We cannot ascend spiritually without acknowledging the shadow both within ourselves and in others. Dumuzi represents the unexamined parts of our psyche that must also undergo a transformation to achieve balance and harmony. Inanna's story follows the hero's journey as outlined in Joseph Campbell. Number 1, a call to journey. Inanna feels compelled to descend into the underworld, answering the call to confront her shadow and explore the unknown. Crossing the threshold, she enters the gates of the underworld, surrendering her spiritual gifts and stepping into the vulnerability. The abyss. She faces death and loss of her higher self, hanging lifeless in the void. Return with the boon. Resurrected and transformed, she reclaims her divine essence and brings back the wisdom of her journey. Inanna's descent offers powerful lessons for our spiritual and personal growth. The stripping of Inanna's spiritual gifts represents the moment in life when we feel disconnected from our higher selves. These challenges forces us to find inner strength and wisdom. Ereshkigal represents the unhealed part of ourselves that we must face to achieve true transformation. Transformation is not complete until we confront and integrate the shadow aspects with others and ourselves. The masculine energy must also undergo renewal and balance with the feminine. Through surrender and resurrection, we can reconnect with our spiritual gifts and divine essence. Inanna returns to the world above, reminds us that awakening is not about escaping the material world, but about living as a whole integrated being who embraces both spiritual and physical. Inanna's descent into the underworld is more than a myth. It is a mirror of our spiritual journeys. It teaches us that growth requires surrender, shadow work, and courage to confront what we fear most. By descending into darkness, arising again, we claim our spiritual gifts and reconnect with our higher selves. Through the lessons of Inanna's stories, we are reminded that even in our darkest moment, there is a potential for profound transformation and rebirth. Like Inanna, we are called to descend, confront, and rise again, reborn and ready to embody the fullness of our true selves. This is Makalasi. Thanks for listening. Peace.